YouTube, what is crack-a-lackin'? It is Scott from SemiPro here, and I am finally on camera. My partner Ryan has been doing these videos for a little bit now. I've been trying to do them myself, but I have had technical difficulty after technical difficulty. But here we are, and in our first video, we are going to do our division predictions for the AFC North. This division runs through the Baltimore Ravens, obviously. They won the division last year, one of the best teams in football. Lamar Jackson is one of the best young players in football. This team is young, they're bringing most everybody back. They look like they're going to be right back on top of this division. But then you've got the Steelers, who have a great defense, tons of good skill players, and Ben Roethlisberger coming back, so they have high expectations as well. Then you have the Cleveland Browns with Baker Mayfield, OBJ, Jarvis Landry, tons of great skill players there, a nasty defense for them as well. The Browns are going to be expected to win a lot of games. And then you have the Bengals, who are kind of a wild card team. They weren't very good last season, but they drafted maybe the best quarterback in college football history with the first overall pick in the draft in Joe Burrow. So this division has a lot going on, and we are going to sort it all out in this video. This one should come as no surprise. I have the Baltimore Ravens winning this division. One of the best teams in football last season. They really set the tone of the brand of football they wanted to play. They have a great young quarterback in Lamar Jackson, great head coach in Harbaugh, great defense, great running game. They have a lot going for them in Baltimore. Sure, there are a couple positional groups that are lacking, maybe the linebacker core, maybe the wide receiver core, but overall, this team is really, really good and has a roster perfectly suited for the way that they want to play football. I have this Ravens team finishing 13-3. Obviously, that's good enough for first in the division, 7-1 at home, 6-2 on the road, and 5-1 in the division. I think they start out the year with a win against Cleveland. I like Cleveland this year. We'll get more into them later, but I do think they beat them at home in the season opener. Then stuff gets a little bit rough at the beginning of the season with two back-to-back losses against Houston and KC. I like Baltimore much more than Houston this season, but I think the fact that they're going to be on the road versus Houston in a late game, prime time, Deshaun Watson versus Lamar Jackson, I think Deshaun Watson will just be able to work some heroics there and pull out the W. Now, obviously, against KC, these are two teams that we expect to be competing for the AFC crown. I think KC pulls this one out, even though it is in Baltimore. I like this Chiefs team as a whole better than I like the Ravens this season. Then they're going to right the ship. They're going to win a lot of games this season. This Ravens team is very, very good. Wins at Washington versus Cincinnati, at Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh, at Indiana, at New England versus Tennessee, at Pittsburgh, at Dallas. I don't really see them having major problems in any of those games besides maybe the Philadelphia game and maybe the Tennessee game. I think they match up very well against all the rest of those teams. Then they're going to take another L at Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland is going to be any kind of force in the NFL this season, but I do think they will be a pretty solid team in the fact that Baltimore is going to be traveling to Cleveland late in the year. I envision this series getting split this season. Then they finish out the season strong with 3 gimme wins versus Jacksonville, New York, and Cincinnati. Overall, this team actually has a pretty easy schedule, and it's going to do them a lot of favors. I do think playing-wise, the Ravens will regress a little bit this season. I have a whole video dedicated to that, which I can link below if you're interested. But with this schedule, they should expect to win, 12, 13 games at the least. In second place in this division, I actually have the Cleveland Browns. I know a lot of you guys are going to be skeptical about this team, and why the hell shouldn't you be? They showed us absolutely nothing last season with all the talent in the world. But here is why I think they are going to be good. Everybody has had another year to get to know each other. Everybody's had another year to mesh. Everybody's had another year to mature. They have a new head coach who I think is going to be a lot more stable. In my opinion, this is the best hire the Browns have made in this absolute coaching carousel they have put themselves through in recent seasons. Yes, there is a lot of drama to overcome here, and if they can't overcome it, it's going to be another dumpster fire. But if they can, the talent of this team can carry them a long way. They are just really hard to read right now. Even though this Browns team is very hard to read, I have them finishing at 10-6, second in the division, 7-1 at home, 3-5 on the road, and 3-3 in the division. We already went over this week 1 game versus Baltimore. I do think they dropped that one 1. It's just hard to go into Baltimore and play Lamar Jackson. It's one of the hardest tasks in football right now. Then they get wins against Cincinnati and Washington. Those should be 2 gimme wins as long as everything clicks for this team. At Dallas, that's going to be a really good game. Definitely want to keep an eye on. It's really a coin flip, but I do have Dallas winning that one at home. Then they've got a home game against the Colts. I think the Colts will be decent, but the Browns have a much more talented roster, and as long as they're playing up to their potential, they should be Indiana. And then this is a team in the Pittsburgh Steelers that I don't think they match up well against at all. It's an intense rivalry game, and the Steelers defense has had the best of them over the past couple of seasons, and they're really, really good on that side of the ball. So I think they drop the game to Pittsburgh on the road, but then they go on a nice little streak with wins at Cincinnati versus Las Vegas versus Houston versus Philadelphia and at Jacksonville. That Philadelphia game is also a bit of a coin toss, but the Browns being at home tips it in their direction for me. Then they've got to go on the road to Tennessee. I think they take an L there. Tennessee is a team a lot like Pittsburgh on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think that's a good matchup at all for the Browns. And then I think they do sneak out a win against Baltimore. They split that season series at home, a win at New York, and then 2 losses to end the season versus the Jets and versus the Steelers. If you've been subscribed to this channel, you know I'm pretty high on the Jets this season. I'm not like 11-5, 12-4 high on the Jets. I have them at 8-8, but I think they're a team very capable of beating any team on any given Sunday. In third place, I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team that has a lot of nice weapons, and they very well could be flip-flopped with the Browns in these standings. It's really a coin flop here. The reason I'm just a little bit higher on Cleveland is because I don't know what Ben Roethlisberger is going to be this season. Are we going to get an old, washed-up Big Ben? Are we going to get a good Big Ben? Could we get a great Big Ben? That's certainly a possibility too. But his play this season will certainly dictate how good this team is going to be. The defense could be amongst the best in the league. The wide receivers are pretty good. They've got a decent core going for themselves. James Conner is a good running back when he's healthy. We'll see how he performs this season. But really, the X factor here is Ben Roethlisberger. And personally, if I was a betting man, I would say Ben isn't going to have that great of a season. I think he'll be just average at best. And I think an average quarterback on this team leads them to 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, somewhere in that range. Again, they definitely could be flip-flopped with Cleveland, but Cleveland has a lot more potential. I've got the Steelers starting out the season with a win at the New York Giants, and then stuff starts to get a little bit iffy. I think they lose to Denver, lose to Houston, lose to Tennessee, and lose to Philadelphia. The beginning of their schedule does them absolutely no favors here. We already talked about this Pittsburgh-Cleveland matchup. I think the Steelers match up against them very, very well, so they get a win there, and then they drop a couple more at Baltimore and at Dallas. The first 8 games of their schedule are extremely brutal, and that is one of the reasons why I have them behind the Browns. Then they play Cincinnati and Jacksonville. They start to get the ship righted. They get some wins. They get on a little bit of a roll. But then they've got to go play the Ravens. At home, granted, but I still think they lose that game. Baltimore's just a better team in almost every facet. And then they rack up the wins again with a little bit of an easier stretch versus Washington, at Buffalo, at Cincinnati versus Indiana. No gimme games by any means, but again, I like the way they match up against these teams. Give me 4 wins for the Steelers there before they close out the season with 2 wins versus the Colts and at Cleveland. So all in all, I have them finishing 8-8, third in the division, 4-4 at home, 4-4 on the road, and 4-2 in the AFC North. Alright, so I normally don't spend too much time on the last place team in these videos unless it's like a loaded division and every team has a legit shot at making the playoffs, but unfortunately the Bengals just don't have that shot this season. I will say though, this is kind of a cute team. They have a little bit of stuff going on. They've got a good young quarterback in Joe Burrow. You know, they've got some pieces. They've got some good wide receivers. They've got a new O-lineman coming in. He's going to be in his rookie season. This Bengals team has a little bit going on for him, but they just have so many holes. I don't like to spend too much time breaking down the schedules of teams that I have going 4-12, 3-13, 2-14, whatever, just because it's a lot of losses to break down. But I do think they'll get some wins against the AFC South. I think that's a fairly lackluster division as a whole, versus Jacksonville, at Indiana, versus Tennessee. I have them winning. At Washington, I have them winning as well. I don't think they're going to win any games within the division. You know, the Bengals, like I mentioned, they're a cute team. They have some stuff going for them, but they just have so many holes right now, and you just don't really know what they are. But they are definitely capable of walking into a stadium and beating any team on any given Sunday. Like, they aren't terrible. I just don't think they're going to be consistent at all. And they certainly aren't on the same playing field as the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers yet. So that wraps up our team-by-team breakdowns. Now we take a look at what these standings will look like at the end of the season. We've got the Ravens in first place, the Browns in second place, the Steelers in third place, and the cute Cincinnati Bengals in fourth place. As you can see on our graphic, the little asterisk means that that team will be making the playoffs. So in my full season predictions, the Ravens and the Browns do get in. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys can bear with us with this camera setup. I know it's not ideal. I know you guys would rather see highlights, and trust me, I would too. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want you guys to have to look at my mean mug. Like, that's no fun. But you got to understand that YouTube doesn't allow our videos to be monetized when we show highlights in excess. So we've got to find ways where we can make money and we can grow our channel. We got to thank you guys a lot, though. You guys have grown our channel for us a lot over the past couple of months. It's been really awesome. All our hard work is paying off. So thank you very much for being with us on this journey. It does mean a lot. We hope you can support us in this new road we are going down now. Anyways, if you haven't already, please click that thumbs up button. It helps us out a lot, helps our video get seen, helps our videos go viral, helps this channel grow. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button because it's free, we're awesome, and we post awesome daily sports content. Thank you for watching and have a blessed rest of your day.